Here is a question that boxing fans have been debating for decades. How dangerous was Mike Tyson actually? Not the myth, not the marketing, not the highlight reel you have seen 1,000 times. The real answer. Because when you strip away the noise and look at the actual numbers, the actual footage, the actual reactions of the men who stood across from him, the answer is something that even hardcore boxing fans are not fully prepared for. This is the story of what Mike Tyson actually was at his peak. And by the end of this video, you will understand why grown men, trained professional fighters, world-ranked heavyweights, were losing this fight before the bell ever rang. Let's start at the beginning, because you cannot understand how dangerous Tyson became without understanding where he came from. Brownsville, Brooklyn, 1966, one of the most violent neighborhoods in New York City at the time. Poverty, crime, gangs. Mike Tyson grew up without a father, raised by his mother, surrounded by chaos. He was not a tough kid. He was actually shy, had a lisp, kept pigeons on the roof of his building, and because of that, he got bullied constantly, jumped, robbed, humiliated. Then something clicked. He started fighting back, and it turned out that Mike Tyson, the quiet kid with the pigeons, could seriously hurt people with his hands. By the time he was 13 years old, he had been arrested 38 times. Theft, assault, robbery. He was running with criminals and heading straight toward a life sentence or an early grave. Then the police caught him with $1,500 in stolen cash, stuffed in his pockets. He was 12 years old. They sent him to the Tryon School for Boys, a reform school in upstate New York. That decision accidentally built the most dangerous heavyweight in the history of boxing. At Tryon, a counselor named Bobby Stewart, a former amateur boxing champion himself, saw something in the angry, oversized teenager. He made Tyson a deal. Stay out of trouble, focus in school, and I will teach you how to box. Tyson agreed, and Stewart quickly realized what he had on his hands was not a project. It was a weapon. After just a few months, Stewart arranged for Tyson to meet a man named Cus D'Amato. D'Amato was a legendary boxing trainer who had already built 2 world champions, Floyd Patterson, Jose Torres. He was living in Catskill, New York, essentially in exile from the main boxing world. He was 70 years old, and the moment he watched 13-year-old Tyson spar for less than 10 minutes, he turned to the people in the room and said, "This kid will be the youngest heavyweight champion of the world." D'Amato became Tyson's legal guardian, moved him into his house, gave him structure, discipline, purpose, and a system of boxing that nobody else was teaching at the time. It was called the peekaboo style. Here is what made it terrifying. Most heavyweight boxers are tall. They fight from the outside, use their reach, control distance with a jab, keep opponents at arm's length. The entire strategy is built on keeping space between you and danger. Cus D'Amato designed the peekaboo specifically to destroy that strategy. The fighter keeps both hands up near his cheeks with elbows tight, head constantly moving in a rhythmic bob and weave, slipping punches while cutting angles, always moving laterally, always changing levels, always closing distance. The goal is to get inside where long arms have no leverage, then fire short, compact punches from a full turn of the hips and torso. For a shorter, stocky fighter with natural explosiveness, it was a blueprint for systematic destruction. And Tyson was the perfect athlete to run it. He was 5'10" and built like a fire hydrant, 215 pounds of pure, fast twitch muscle. He could throw a 4 to 6 punch combination in what looked like less than a second, head constantly moving on the way in so opponents could not time him. And then boom, he was inside, and the punches started coming from angles that taller fighters had never had to deal with before. The accuracy was what separated him from every other puncher in history. Tyson himself said it plainly. People think it is just power. It is not. It is the accuracy of the power. He aimed every punch at a specific target. He visualized his punches going through his opponent, not at them, through them. He was trying to put his fist out the back of their head. CompuBox tracked 27 of Tyson's fights and found that he landed 56% of his power punches. The average heavyweight lands 40%. Tyson was connecting at a rate 15 percentage points above the norm for the entire division on the hardest punches in boxing. Now let us talk about what those punches actually did to people. He turned professional in March 1985 at 18 years old. His first year was a massacre. He fought 15 times, won all 15 by knockout. One entire year of professional boxing, and not a single opponent survived to hear the final bell. The second year was worse for the competition. In July 1986, Tyson faced Marvis Frazier, the son of Smokin' Joe Frazier. Marvis was a legitimate professional fighter with a 16-1 record. His one loss was a first-round knockout against Larry Holmes. But Holmes was a legend. Tyson was still just a kid, people said. Let us see how he handles a real test. 30 seconds. The fight lasted 30 seconds. One of the fastest knockouts in Tyson's entire career. Marvis Frazier, who had gone rounds with Larry Holmes, was finished inside half a minute. Tyson said after, "It was scary because he went down real slow. I do not want to hurt anybody." He was 19 years old. 4 months later, November 22nd, 1986, Tyson walks into the ring against WBC heavyweight champion Trevor Berbick. This is for the title. This is the moment every fighter dreams about. Tyson is 20 years old, the youngest man ever to challenge for the heavyweight crown. Berbick was a hard man. He had beaten Muhammad Ali. He was not supposed to fold. Second round, Tyson catches Berbick with a left hook to the temple. Berbick goes down, gets up, goes down again, gets up again, stumbles sideways, his legs completely disconnected from his brain, falls a third time. The referee waves it off. Mike Tyson is 20 years old and the heavyweight champion of the world. The next year, he unified all 3 titles, beat James Bone Crusher Smith by decision for the WBA belt, then stopped Tony Tucker for the IBF crown. By 1987, Mike Tyson held the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF heavyweight championships simultaneously. The first undisputed heavyweight champion since Leon Spinks in 1978. And then came Michael Spinks. Spinks was not a fraud. He was a genuine boxer. Olympic gold medalist at the 1976 Games. 4 years as the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. Moved up to heavyweight and beat Larry Holmes for the IBF and Ring Magazine titles. Entered his fight with Tyson with a record of 31-0. He was the lineal heavyweight champion. The best in the world, according to traditional boxing criteria. On paper, this was a legitimate contest between 2 undefeated champions. In reality, Michael Spinks did not want to come out of the dressing room. That is not an exaggeration. Witnesses and people in his corner confirmed that Spinks was barely able to make himself walk out for this fight. The crowd noise, the lights, the knowledge of what was waiting for him in that ring. The fear was real and it was visible. Tyson came out at the opening bell and immediately fired a left hook that caught Spinks on the side of the head. Tyson said after, "I noticed the fear come into his eyes then." Spinks tried to create distance. Tyson cut off the ring, trapped him in the corner, and the next punch, a short right hand, put Spinks on the canvas for the first time in his career. He got up at the count of 4. Tyson walked through him and finished the fight with an uppercut. 91 seconds. Michael Spinks, 31-0, a man who had been champion for years, lasted 91 seconds. It was the 6th fastest heavyweight championship knockout in history. And it made every heavyweight on earth understand that this was not a boxer. This was something else entirely. Promoter Don King reportedly made $11 million from that fight in closed-circuit television and gate receipts. Michael Spinks made $13 million for his 91 seconds of work and then never fought again. He retired immediately after. Some guys look at what just happened to them and decide they are done. But here is what truly separates Tyson from every other puncher in history. The physical destruction was only half of it. Tyson said this himself, plainly and directly. Most guys I fought were pretty much intimidated. They lost the fight before they ever got hit. Most guys. I knew the art of skullduggery. I knew how to beat these guys psychologically before I ever got in the ring with them. He described how he would stare down opponents during walkouts, during the referee's instructions, during every second before the opening bell, never blinking, never breaking eye contact, waiting for that one moment when a fighter looked away or looked down even for a tenth of a second. He said, when you see that, you know you have him. The eye movement tells you the man has already accepted the possibility of losing. Tyson turned the walk to the ring into a weapon. The crowd would be deafening. He entered to Prokofiev or to ex-Gon Give It to Ya, depending on the era. No robe in his early years, just black shorts, black shoes, no socks, ice cold, expressionless. His own account of his mental state going into fights is one of the most fascinating things he ever shared publicly. He said, the closer I get to the ring, the more confidence I get. The closer, the more. Once I am in the ring, I am a god. No one can beat me. That confidence radiated. Opponents felt it, and many of them were done before the first punch. By 1989, the numbers told the whole story. Through his first 37 professional fights, Tyson had stopped 33 opponents by knockout or technical knockout. He had 24 first-round knockouts across his career. His overall knockout rate was 88%. He landed on every 56 out of 100 power punches he threw, in a division where the average is 40. He knocked out Larry Holmes, a man who had defended the heavyweight title 20 times and was never knocked out by anyone else in his entire career. He stopped former champions Tony Tucker, Tyrell Biggs, and Tony Tubbs. He dismantled every contender, every champion, every ranked fighter the sport could produce. And he did it mostly before the fourth round. So how dangerous was Mike Tyson, actually? He was dangerous enough that the son of Smokin' Joe Frazier was finished in half a minute. He was dangerous enough that the man who beat Muhammad Ali could not survive 2 rounds. He was dangerous enough that a 31-0 champion would not come out of his dressing room. He was dangerous enough that he broke his own hand on a man's face in a street fight, bare knuckle, and still won. He was dangerous enough that trained professional heavyweights, men who had dedicated their lives to combat, were defeated inside their own heads before a single punch landed. 44 knockouts, 24 first-round finishes, the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The first undisputed heavyweight champion in nearly a decade. A man who watched every warrior in history, who studied the mechanics of violence like other people study mathematics, who was built, shaped, and forged from one of the hardest environments on Earth into the most efficient fighting machine the heavyweight division has ever seen. That is how dangerous Mike Tyson was. The baddest man on the planet was not a nickname. It was a warning.